Southeast Asia is in the middle of one of the most expensive races on the planet. Well over 100 million people visited the region last year, and that number is climbing rapidly. And several countries are vying to become the megaport for the region, which means that billions of dollars are being invested into building some of the biggest airports we've ever seen. And Vietnam's Long Thanh might just be the most ambitious gamble of them all. It's costing an eye-watering $16 billion and spans an enormous 5,000 hectares of space. That's more than 4 times the size of London's Heathrow. But why is Vietnam building such a massive airport? And at such an extortionate cost? Will it pay off? Now, before we go any further with today's video, we need to stop everything because I have got some very big news that I am finally allowed to share. Last year, Penguin Random House asked me if I'd like to write a book. I said yes, I've written a book, and here it is. It is called Mega Builds, 10 colossal construction projects that will change our world. Over the last 10 years, I have had a front row seat to some of this planet's most incredible construction projects, and they are all in here. I've written about them. I've gone deeper than I've ever gone before in any video, story, or any kind of like long form documentary. This is behind the scenes. It's up close and personal. It meets the teams, it's the human stories, it's the engineering in detail. It's my personal experiences and some of the calamities I've had along the way getting up close with these projects. I have really enjoyed writing this. Some of my mates have been like, oh, nice, who ghost wrote that for you? No one. I can't afford a fancy ghostwriter. Me. I wrote this. Every single word of this has come from my head into my laptop and then into this book, all for your reading pleasure. Guys, I never thought I could write a book, but I have, and obviously I'm biased, but I actually kind of think it's quite good. It is available to pre-order now. The link is below. Pre-ordering is incredibly important. Basically, my entire future happiness depends on you pre-ordering this book. So guys, if you love the B1M, if you love these stories, if you love learning more about construction in a down-to-earth way that's easy to understand and can be read by anyone, go and pre-order my book, Mega Builds, today. So get this, over the next 20 years, Boeing predicts that air traffic to Southeast Asia is going to more than triple. And while we all know someone who's backpacks here, the numbers go way beyond Westerners looking to expand their horizons. China's growing middle class and an increasing number of tourists travelling from emerging markets like India means Southeast Asia has experienced a rapid surge in holidaymakers. And in all honesty, can you blame them? But while America has Denver and Europe has Heathrow, the race is on to become Southeast Asia's next megaport. And there's some pretty stiff competition, none more so than Changi in Singapore, which has a huge head start. It's already the largest airport in the region, welcoming 60 million passengers a year, and it's regularly referred to as the best airport in the world. But seemingly that's not enough. $10 billion is being plunged into building a swanky new Terminal 5 at this location. Once that's complete in the mid-2030s, overall capacity could hit a staggering 150 million people. In a bid to keep up, Malaysia is looking to expand its Kuala Lumpur International to also welcome 100 million people each year, while over in Thailand, the nation's key air hub, Suvarnabhumi, is going through a redevelopment to up capacity to 120 million. And the Philippines is building Bulacan, a whole new $14 billion airport that could welcome 100 million people each year. And while we could easily focus our attention on any one of these airports individually, and we might, let us know in the comments which one you'd like to see, it's Long Thanh in Vietnam which has caught our attention for now, because it's going to be an absolute colossus. Once complete, it won't just be the biggest airport in the region, but one of the largest anywhere on the planet. And for a meaty $16 billion, you'd kind of hope so. There are basically 2 key reasons why Vietnam is building Long Thanh. The first is to do with Tan Son Nhiet Airport, 40 kilometres away. 40 million people travel through its terminals every year, and while it's nowhere near the 100 million figure that's being talked about for Long Thanh, it's enough to cause a problem. Tan Son Nhiet is oversubscribed, and because of its location, there's no room to expand. You see, just like Chicago's O'Hare or London City Airport, this airport is built right in the middle of a massive urban area. Ton Son Nhiet is in the bustling Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam's most populous city, and it's surrounded by urban development. Basically, this airport is completely hemmed in.
Meanwhile, Vietnam's tourism industry is booming, so the time is right to look at expanding its infrastructure. But Long Thanh is much more than just an expansion, just another overflow facility. The idea is to make this the hub for international travel in all of Southeast Asia.
When it's complete, it'll feature 4 beautiful terminals inspired by the shape of a lotus, Vietnam's national flower. They'll be serviced by 4 gigantic runways, each measuring 4,000 metres. Now, the development's being broken up into 3 main phases. Long Thanh's being constructed on a forested area, and so during phase 1, there's a whole lot of clearing and site levelling before any actual construction. In late 2018, it was reported that nearly 2,000 vehicles and machines were on site carrying out extensive earthworks. We're talking digging, filling and rolling across the entire span of the airport boundaries. A truly monumental effort.
But before any construction work could begin, a particularly pressing and sensitive issue surfaced. A variety of bombs and mines dating back to the Vietnam War were uncovered during excavations. With each sleeping explosive found, work obviously had to stop for safe removal.
Once the site was deemed safe, the path was laid for construction on the first of the terminals, runways and a control tower. That first terminal itself spans 373,000 square metres across 4 levels. The structure and its attached wings are comprised of a steel frame supported by reinforced concrete columns and beams. Then, above it all, is this spectacular roof, a clear span design stretching 82 metres. For anyone not au fait with roof lingo, a clear span roof is a ceiling not supported by masses of internal columns and posts. It's a method used to create open and breathable spaces on the ground, which is kind of what you want in an airport. The roof is made up of thousands of tons of steel combining to create 5 layers. Each layer joins with the next to insulate, waterproof and increase the durability of this crucial element. And when you look out from the terminal, you'll see that concrete has already been poured for the first 4,000 metre long runway. Beyond that, to help organise the entire site once it's operational, a 123 metre tall control tower shaped like a lotus bud is being raised. But if you want to get inside and see any of this, then you're going to have to navigate the 8,668 metre boundary wall, which has been constructed to lock off the Long Thanh Airport site. By the end of phase 1, the airport's going to be ready to welcome 25 million passengers and 1.2 million tonnes of cargo each year. Another 2 terminals and a further runway are going to be built in phase 2. But it's this final phase where Long Thanh makes the leap to becoming a world leader. With the construction of a 4th and final terminal and 2 more 4,000 metre runways, Long Thanh will become one of the world's biggest airports. Its capacity will jump to a whopping 100 million passengers and 5 million tonnes of cargo, rivaling the world's busiest airport, Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. But the question remains, how do you get that many people to and from the nearest major city, Ho Chi Minh? Well, the road network around the site is going through a bit of a transformation too. And for anyone who doesn't fancy the 40km drive from the city centre, plans have also been drawn up for 2 rail lines connecting to the site. Now, all of this seems great, but as you might expect with a project this big, it hasn't exactly been plain sailing. Perhaps the most impactful problem so far has been dust. And I'm not talking about the stuff that collects on your TV stand or on top of your kitchen cabinets. The dust emanating from Long Thanh is brutal. You see, this site sits on red basalt soil, and when it's disturbed, it sends these dramatic clouds of colourful dust up into the sky. Plumes of the stuff have been spreading far and wide, carried by the wind, and on the wheels of the thousands of vehicles coming to and from the site. It's been covering residential areas up to 7 kilometres away.
As a result, people have been experiencing breathing problems, with some residents saying the coughing was worse than at the height of the pandemic. It's not just the health implications either. Crops have been caked in dust. And if those crops can't photosynthesize, they can't grow, so quickly die off.
As you can imagine, the government is being slated for a lack of preparedness. When action was finally taken, it was already far too late. Reservoirs were built by the site to water down the grounds, and speed limits were imposed on vehicles to limit the spread of dust. But it didn't completely fix the issue, and in all honesty, a lot of the damage had already been done. And before work had even started, people were concerned about one thing in particular, as they are with all infrastructure projects: the cost. There's no denying the terminals are going to be visually remarkable, but they definitely don't come cheap. To realise the Lotus-themed design, the structure has to feature a serious number of curves, but curved architecture is a whole lot more expensive than right angles.
Now, rounded shapes are very technical and work-intensive to engineer. Beyond just the fiddly geometric calculations, certain materials just don't like to bend. Concrete becomes very brittle when you put it into a curved situation, and as you can imagine with something like steel, the thicker it is, the harder it is to manipulate because of its increased density.
While Vietnam might now be one of the fastest growing economies in Southeast Asia, when the airport was first put forward in 2006, it was in a very different landscape. The nation was nearing the beginning of its journey to economic growth, trade was increasing, and poverty was in decline. But residents worried the long-term debts loaded onto the government through loans for Long Thanh could set the nation back. And while Vietnam is continuing its financial evolution, there are still concerns over the massive price tag attached to this airport. As the fields of Long Thanh continue their dramatic transformation, we need to answer the question posed at the start of this video: does Vietnam actually need this? Well, in the first quarter of 2025, the country recorded the 6th highest growth in international arrivals worldwide. By the way, that's a massive 30% rise from the same period in 2024, and that ranks Vietnam as top dog in the Asia-Pacific area. When you pair that with Boeing's prediction for a tripling of air traffic to the region, we can see demand to travel here is obvious. The glaring problem is that there are already some pretty big airports in the region that are expanding from a position of strength. And while it would be naive to suggest that Long Thanh is being built based on anything but meticulous market research, it does feel like a bit of a gamble.
But the people of Vietnam can take comfort in the expansion approach. Long Thanh is being developed in stages, allowing the government to monitor capacity and passenger demand at each phase of the project.
So, who's going to win the race to become Southeast Asia's next mega airport? Well, the safe money would say Changi. It's already the region's kingpin and will likely finish its redevelopment long before Long Thanh ever reaches its full potential. But given what we know about Southeast Asia's rapid growth, who's to say the region could only host one successful mega hub? It could go on to become renowned as the world's centre of aviation. And while Long Thanh might not win the race to become its forerunner, don't discount its potential to become one of the world's next airport giants. Don't forget that we're inspiring the next generation of airport builders through our investment into Brickborough, a fantastic LEGO subscription service. You can learn more and get started today over at brickborough.com. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you're subscribed to the B1M.